From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Okay, we just started simulcasting live at prisonplanet.tv. I had Justin, who's in Mexico City. We've called him there. He contacted our office, but we wanted to double-check that he was in Mexico City. We've had a lot of calls from Mexico City saying the same thing. A lot more dead people than you're hearing. A lot more people sick than you're hearing. We had Dr. Tenpenny on, who was in Mexico, couldn't get a flight out in Monterrey, had to get out by bus. They told him, the police came to the hotel, told everybody to leave. She was bussed out of the country. She's now in San Antonio. Dr. Deagle, do you have any questions before I let this caller go? Do you have any questions dealing specifically with what he witnessed 3 days in a hospital, what Justin witnessed in that
what does
Mexico
he know?
City hospital? Go ahead.
Yeah, the first thing I would ask is, if their idea of quarantine is to stick all the inpatients together, it means maximum cross-contamination. It means pregnant women and others. So that's a stupid policy. The second thing is to hear doctors, quote, demanding vaccines when the doctors should know better that it takes 6 months to make a vaccine with egg membrane technology. So it shows me that the health professionals they're talking about really are not informed. Secondly, vaccines don't protect anyway. All they do is create a titer, which is an antibody against the virus. You have to actually have a true host defense system in order to protect the body. And that's why being healthy prevents primary infection. So that's number one. And the other that I've heard actually from other reports is that they don't have proper masks. And if they don't have a respiratory fit mask, like these biosuits that I've seen, actually, that the Homeland Security are going to wear with Scott Air packs and filters, you have to have an antiviral mask that's actually going to have a respiratory fit, like a NIOSH N100, or even better, a nanomask. If you don't have those and you're working around these sick people, the very first casualties, and this happened with the SARS or coronavirus, these are a big virus. These are many times bigger. They're the largest virus pretty well that infects humans. The influenza virus is a very small virus relatively, and the droplet masks that doctors wear are useless. So the first thing that's going to happen if there's a true pandemic, doctors, clinics, hospitals, and others, is that we're going to see a major die-off of our health professionals and our first responders and our EMTs and our police and other people that are in direct contact with sick people that may be in panic over what's going on. I'd like to
Meanwhile, the Homeland Security is walking around like supermen in their respiration suits, right, taken care of, just like on 9/11. Right. They were all out there FEMA was out there wearing respirators, telling firemen and police, the air's fine, the air's fine. You know,
exactly.
Like
they got a Scott Air pack on while everybody else has got a particle mask that is for a painter that doesn't even stop the smaller particles. So exactly, and that's why we have a disaster in the brew here. And both FEMA and all these other agencies want to increase maximum cross-contamination. What I'd like to know, not only in Mexico but in the UK, what are they talking about vaccinating
Why
people?
are they telling all foreigners get on planes and leave, which right in the middle of an outbreak will vector all that? They're making the borders more open during it.
Right. The first thing I would do immediately is I'd shut down all air travel. And I'd have everybody called multiple times a day, and I'd have them not only cultured, I'd have a culture swab of their throat, not just a Z-stat flu test, which is a rapid test I had in my clinic in Denver to measure, because that will miss up to 15 to 20% of cases, even in the peak of an infection. So you can't use a temperature. For example, Japan has basically blocked anybody coming into the country that has a temperature, over 104. That's useless. You can shed the virus.
They may be in the incubation. Exactly. They're going to be
They can be shedding virus all over the place. It's totally useless. Same way they tried to use thermal scanners in the Toronto airport and other places when they had a major outbreak. It was useless.
Stop. I want to go back to our caller in Mexico City so he can finish up any comments. We can let him go. Do you have any questions of Justin in Mexico City?
Yeah, I'd like to know what kind of news reports are. Is there a blackout? How many people are really sick? What's the ratio of deaths? See, I guess that there's at least 2 substrains, and there may be emerging other ones. And in the steamship era, we would have new strains emerge every so many months because it took so long to travel. Now that people can fly around the world, we could have new substrains emerge, not just here, but in Europe or elsewhere, where people are taking this new strain. They could emerge from Eastern Europe or China or anywhere now. And once these get embedded into the population, I'd like to know what's the real death rate? Are they getting any real reports?
Okay, well, let's ask him that question. I mean, you were saying that the doctor said in that hospital you were in alone, and you've been out there for a day, 20 dead people.
Right. Yeah. As far as I know, they only have a few facilities where they can actually test whether that's the virus or not. So it's very likely that people can die and they don't have...
Where it's not flu season, if it's an influenza A virus, which you can do a test in 10 minutes, it's this recombinant lab virus, unless proven otherwise. I mean, it's like if you hear the hoofbeats, it's probably horses and not zebras. So if there's 20 deaths from an acute respiratory illness, you know that this is almost certainly this viral bioweapon that's been released. And if they can even just do a rapid test, which any doctor's office anywhere can do, for influenza A, they can confirm, oh, you've got this virus. They almost certainly, this is the bug. And if they have 20 deaths, how many, what's the case fatality rate? See, I want to know that. And this is the problem. We don't see the genetic clades. They should already have that report out. Which gene groups are they? Are they reporting it to not only the public, but also other scientists? And now we have all these companies.
Yeah, they should be putting out the sequence publicly, or at least the makeup, so that all these independent research firms can go to work looking at it. But they're being a little bit secretive about the makeup of this virus.
You could, in a cellular culture, if you thought vaccines would work, which I know they don't, you could actually make in a cell culture vaccine in 30 days. But the problem is the virus continues like a whirling dervish to keep changing. And so if they say they're going to have a vaccine in 6 months, which CDC has stated they will in Homeland Security, that's useless. That's from like trying to shoot a bullet at a target 6 months after the target's already moved and gone into another state. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that'd be like if you wanted to kill Alex Jones, you went to the house I was born in, that I haven't lived in 30 years, and blew it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's insanity. And for them to say these doctors that supposedly demand vaccines, or they're going to give something, first off, there is no antiviral drug that can stop this. And the ones that they would use are so toxic, for example.
Well, Dr. Deagle, medical doctor, I've got a question for you, because you've been following this for a long time and really obsessing over the bird flu and saying it was coming or something.
Well, I know it's coming because they told me that they were building
lab flu, but sure. Yeah. But
yeah.
Well, they admit they've built it. It's
a lab flu.
CDC admits they've done it. But the issue here is, now, we know viruses, as they go through human bodies and animal bodies, they are always changing, mutating, like bacteria or anything else. Or the genetics of humans as we procreate. That's what we do here. Now, how does this generally work? Because I see different schools of thought, different virologists, different doctors. Is it more rare for a virus to mutate into something harmless, or is it more common for it to mutate into something bad, or is it the characteristics of this virus being this transgenic mutagen, this cross species of virus with animal, pig, and bird? And then it didn't come from the East, as all flus do. It originates in Mexico outside the flu season. I mean, you add all this together, it's amazing.
Well, someone you need to probably interview is Dr. Henry L. Nyman. Dr. Nyman probably is head of Recombinomics in Pittsburgh, is a top virologist in the recombination. I believe that he is smack on. 99% of the changes in any virus, whether it's flu or any other virus, is recombination, not reassortment, not switching genes like shuffling cards, and not mutation. Mutation is very rare. It occurs when it's radiated or there's incredible amounts of toxic material around, like radioisotopes and toxic halides. What happens with recombination is similar to what happens in human cells when we make a baby. Your genes come together, and there's a thing called synapses where genes are swapped. And this virus, meaning it has from 4 different sources, human, avian, Asian, and swine, it means it's had synapses with viruses on 3 different continents. So it's a lab virus. The danger right now is that this lab virus is a bridge. It's a bridge because it attaches to human cells. It's got the binding domain. It may have 1 or more of the lethal genes, and it's going to acquire new genes, either when it moves to a territory like China or Eastern Europe, where we know that the virus is endemic, H5N1, or North America, where there's millions of birds dying in British Columbia, Washington State, and Oregon, and California, and elsewhere in the U.S. You can pretty well find the high pathogenic avian flu in birds anywhere now, on any continent. Now this bridge virus is going to acquire new. So it's a process
so
where...
You're saying this could be the bridge...
This is the bridge.
From the bird flu, which is what Baxter got caught, mislabeling to 18 different countries, weaponized bird flu that wasn't highly airborne to be mixed with a perfect spectrum of standard human acquirable flu viruses mixed in the major vats.